Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our two new guests, Ashes and Raw. We're here to break down Lawful Evil issues 1 through 3 and everything in between. And like a spider, we are swinging in hot man, this is such an awesome story. I had the opportunity to read all 3 issues. Issue 3 has yet to drop, so thank you so much for that advanced reader copy. How are you two doing? Welcome to the stream, guys.
Thanks so much for having us, Cody. It's really exciting to be here. I'll just say I'm cold right now. It's really cold in New York, but we're looking to get things a little hot, you know?
Right. We're hoping to heat it up with this interview.
Hey, that is our style. We have Dr. Hino 419 stopping and saying, yo, everyone, the doctor is in. Welcome to the stream. So, Ashes, Raw, this is such an awesome story. We have Dark Spider. He is a vigilante, and right in the first issue, you put our man through some work. He finds out that the love of his life might be a little bit more devious than he originally planned, and that was like after kind of saving the starting line for the high school football team. So what, give us a little bit about what this comic is about. Can we talk a little bit about the concept?
Right. So the concept is a lot of the humans behind the masks. You see comics like Batman, you see Superman, and a lot of their existence is their Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne's existence is there to help the Superman and Batman persona. And they don't always deal with the same issues in and out of costume. And what we kind of wanted to do here is show that regardless to whether or not you're swinging from a rafter saving people or you're going to your day job, you're still going to have to worry about your rent. You're still going to have to worry about whether your significant other stepping out on you. You're still going to have to go to your doctor's checkup. There are people behind these masks, behind these personas. And we wanted to show a little bit more of the human side of superhuman, a little bit more of that human and the superhuman.
Yeah, I really loved how, like, right when he comes onto the scene, everyone's like, hey, there's a C-lister. Why aren't we getting, the top dogs? Like, you really, like, invoke, like, that feeling like, hey, I'm out here doing my best. I'm out here saving people, when cameras aren't rolling. I'm out here, doing what I need to do without, like, taking advantage of the spotlight. Why am I getting crapped on? Like, I really loved how you put the main character into that. Right.
Yeah, that also is kind of, a nod to, I guess, the way our world works now today. Celebrities, especially in America, are royalty, but you have people who are doing great things, discovering different cures. I read a lot of science news and developing clean energy things, and they don't get a lot of praise, but those are heroes. Those are heroes who are trying to make our world better. Whereas, they're not on a reality show, they're not in a movie, they're not in this, they're not in that. So they can't be anybody important. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily true. If you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, that's what we should, look at, and people should be focusing on, as opposed to, how many likes did they get for doing this?
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it seems like a lot of those people who create like clean, renewable energy, like engines running off water, they tend to disappear fast for whatever reason. So before we dive too deep into this comic, let's begin with the basics. Ashes, Raw, like who are you? How did you guys get into creating comics?
You want to
go first, Trevor?
Oh, I can, yeah. So I started creating comics in 2012. My first comic was the Hierophants. It was kind of a passion project. I had developed after interning at Marvel, and it's published by Advent Comics, who's another creator I'm sure folks are familiar with. And then after that, I had done another project for Advent, God Cell and the Black Star line. And I've always wanted to do comics, but it always seemed like I was thinking about or searching for the story that I wanted to tell, that was personal to me, that was, gelled with me as much as possible. And I feel like Lawful Evil is that fit in regards to that.
So awesome that you got to intern at Marvel too. What was that experience like for you?
Whew, it was a whirlwind. It was interesting. I met some good people there and some, not so great people, but it was interesting just to see the level of the structure and the level of creativity, and also the departments, that you don't even think about, legal and brand assurance and all these other different departments that are structured there, where you look at being an indie creator and you're like, wow, they have a lot of people that do a lot of these things, and it's just me. It's just me. They have a marketing department and this department, and the great thing is a lot of them are fans. Even the people in I go to legal department, and people have figures on their desks and they're fans. But they have these people to handle these specific things, where being an indie creator is just, I gotta figure out all this stuff by myself. So it was an eye-opening experience.
So Ashes, how do you fall into this spider web of creating comics?
I love spider webs. This is actually my first foray into comics. I've been a lifelong writer. Me and Rashawn Ra actually met in college through different writing classes, different workshops. And I've always been a big fan of comics. Batman, the animated series, really opened those doors for me. And I just kind of fell in love ever since I've been watching these Saturday morning cartoons from when I was a kid. So I've always really wanted to get into comics. Me and Rob were just spitballing one day, talking about some ideas we had, and Lawful Evil just kind of formed from there. By day, I kind of do my own, I do corporate copywriting, which is not the most fun, but by night, I get to be a little bit of a smut peddler and do the writing that I want to do. So love being part of Lawful Evil, love the experience of creating, indie comics. It's been amazing.
No, that is awesome. So let's dive right back into it. Issue 1 starts off, we have our main protagonist walking into this. It's just a football field of all these high school football players. And there's a succubus named Succubay, if I'm not correct, right? Succubabe?
Yeah, Succubabe.
And she is just riding them all to death. I thought that was such an interesting way, not only for him to be introduced to his, introduce the audience to the villain, but also to show the audience what to expect from this, because it's a not for safe work comic, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, not safe for work. We definitely wanted to start issue 1 with a bang. But also, Succubabe's a very interesting character. She is a succubus. She has her own agenda, and she's, been playing around with Dark Spider for a bit now, and just kind of showing up, wrecking his day, wrecking, his professional life. He works at the school. So we definitely wanted to give her the introduction and give Dark Spider that, powerful start.
Yeah.
So I really like his outfit, his costume design, and his weapons of choice too were pretty interesting, because it's almost like it acts as like a web. I don't know what the weapons are called, like the sickle almost. With the chain. So he's able to actually use those to wrap her up, and I thought that was an interesting way to kind of get around him shooting webs. The traditional spider. So using the sickle, I thought was an awesome way. In an awesome weapon set too. What was some of the inspiration that went behind this costume design and the weapons he uses?
So a lot of people would think that, you look at the eyes and everything, it looks like Spider-Man. I actually am a big fan of Matt Wagner's Grendel, the Grendel from Dark Horse. And the eyes, that mask, came from the Grendel. I grew up reading the Grendel. A lot of the costume and actually the weapons came from, I'm a big Daredevil fan. I have my Daredevil t-shirt here. Came from Daredevil, the Hand, and one of Daredevil's villains, Hikari. And I always thought that the sickle was an interesting weapon that I didn't see many superheroes or any characters really use. And so I was like, well, how could I, make this a weapon? And then obviously it's bladed on every side. So if you were to not hurt somebody with it, you'd have to be extremely skilled to do that. And Dark Spider, we'll see based on his past and his training and everything, he's extremely skilled adept at using bladed weapons. And so that's how he doesn't hurt anyone. But the design for the costume, there's a lot of things in there. Again, the Grendel, there's David List's Black Panther, Deadliest Man Alive in there. There's some Daredevil in there. Those are the three main inspirations. Even down to the color scheme. I didn't want to, everybody. I feel like every Spider character everywhere is black and red or something or red and something. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. I want to do something else. So I did the black and yellow, black and gold kind of deal, where it made him stand out a little bit more. And it was different. I wanted it to look different than the typical characters, because I feel like black, blue, and red are colors we see everywhere in comics.
Yeah.
To some degree, and I was like, nobody ever uses gold or anything. Not really. Maybe Yellow Jacket of the Wasp sometimes, but I wanted to use that, so that was my thinking there.
And in the first issue, we have him getting cheated on by the world's most powerful superhero, and I thought that was an interesting twist too. So the most powerfulest guy, everyone that looks up to him and worships him is the one that's secretly sacking his girl behind his back.
Yeah.
Primer's a lot of fun, but he's a very bad person. He's fun to write, but. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care, who people are dating. He doesn't care, what's right and wrong. Something that, Lawful Evil is about as well is just corporations and, who's sponsoring who. Where does the line between mercenary and superhero, someone doing good and someone just kind of being sent in to wreck shit, basically? What's the difference between those? And Primer is definitely into the latter. But the public loves him, so it doesn't really matter what he does, ultimately.
It's almost like, and I've read this, so he's not written like Homelander, but it's almost like a Homelander type of situation, like how that dude's a piece of trash, but for the first part of season 1, everyone loves him because they don't know how conniving he is. And I think that is such an interesting way to write him too, because in issue 2 we see more of the story start to develop. Because Succubé was able to kind of get into Dark Spider's head and kind of really start turning the gears and manipulating him. I thought that was such an interesting turn of events as well.
Yeah. You want to?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think in the beginning, like you said, we came in hot and we showed a lot of he's getting crapped on. He saves, and then he kind of gets a little humiliated after not humiliated, but a little embarrassed after he captures Succubé and tries to figure out what to do with her. And it's nothing's going right. It's if Murphy's Law was a day, right? Mm-hmm. It's just nothing's going right. And then he comes home and he buys food and he's like, all right, well, at least this part of my day is going to be nice. And then he comes in and it's no, it's not. And so it's just what do people do when they're having an awful day? Humans are humans. Everybody is going to have a day where they're at their weakest, or they're not as strong, or they're not as, they think about their ethics and they say, has everything I believed in and done to this point been wrong? Their worldview gets challenged to such a degree. And then she comes in and says, well, you've been doing this all wrong. You've been taking the wrong road. You wanted to do this and you wanted to be good for them and be good for everybody, but they don't care. And you need to take what you want. And so that kind of, he's it's just a confluence of events that just, mm-hmm. A cascade. So I think that was part of it. And we'll see other things later that kind of in the story. This is not just a, it happens, it just happens. We will see when we go back into the history, we'll see that this has been a plan. This has been something for a while. Mm-hmm. So we'll see that. Issue 2
gets action packed. I was trying to find the right phrase for it. Because not only are they able to trick Primer and have him kind of, and I love the way you guys did that too, the setup for it, and then the sneak attack, and the way you built the action around that. They both kind of just get beaten down, but they're able to kind of eventually get the upper hand. It leads to just consequences that both of them were not prepared for, and shit starts hitting the fan fast, and I really enjoyed that. Not only do we get the opportunity for the ex-girlfriend to come back, you know, when he's in the shower, but we have a few moments where it's like, okay, you know, is something about to happen between these two? And then like, boom, you know, all hell starts breaking loose.
Yeah, definitely boom is the right word. Making a couple of explosive encounters back to back. You know, it's not just the return of Monica. It's, you know, there's really tough superheroes that were not happy with finding out that Primer was taken out. Well, not fully, but regardless, you know, so they're coming in. Dark Spider and, well, Sucky Babe surely was not. You know, she's definitely a character that flies by the seat of her pants. She has machinations, but she's impulsive. And I don't think she even realized how fast the wheels of fate would actually turn and, you know, catch up with them, for sure.
Yeah, it's like within a span, it felt like not even like by the time his shower's done, like it like word got out fast. We have Mama Geekly over on Facebook saying, I like the black and cold. And then maybe he will run into a female character who uses him for pleasure only like he does others, and it drives him batty. Not sure if she's talking about Primer or Dark Spider, but Primer did get a little pleasure for a little bit before he got knocked, taken out.
Yeah.
I also like how you had him kind of stuck in like this mortal like loop. So can you give us a little bit about what's going on in that situation?
The Spinner's Web.
Yeah,
the
Spinner's Web.
Power of Dark Spiders.
Yeah, so Dark Spider, we'll see, based on his lineage, he has a particular ability called the Spinner's Web. It's a telepathic ability that he rarely uses for various reasons. But what it does is trap people in parts of their memory that are the worst parts of their lives.
Ooh.
And so it's kind of when you think about it, it kind of could be like if he was a bad guy, this would be not a good ability for him to have. But you know, again, it's another one of those things where like his weapons, right? He has these abilities that could really hurt people, but he uses them responsibly. But in this instance, you know, it's a life or death situation. So he pulls it out, boom, and he uses it, and it puts Primer in a you know, a particular state where he's incapacitates him. So, but we'll see more of it though.
And we see
that's awesome.
In issue 1 a little bit too.
We do see it in issue 1.
Sucky Babe.
Yeah.
Briefly, which doesn't really work out well for Dark Spider. She did not appreciate that.
No.
But
so, it's anytime we see those green symbols, that's when that's happening.
Yeah, that's when he activates the ability. Yeah.
Yeah. So what comes after Sucky Babe? What was that like? That's like herself, or.
I
don't know. We
can't say too much, but you know, she's a succubus. She's half human, half demon. That's a form of her that she could take, that she would prefer for that future to not happen.
Very demonic looking too. Very demonic looking. So
not as pretty as what she presents, for sure.
Right.
Everyone watching, you can actually get issues 1 and issue 2 right here on their Gumroad. Be warned though, this is not safe for work, so you definitely want to read this in the comfort of your own home. So issue 2 leads off with you know, we have our 2 protagonists getting beaten down by like just team after team of all these superheroes that are very, very upset with them with, you know, what they did with Primer, you know. So what leads into issue 3 without spoiling too much?
Well, there's definitely an explosive ending to issue 2.
Right.
And our protags have to literally go underground to escape the onslaught that is coming for them. You know, they escaped it for the moment, but there's someone in the sewers where they end up in the sewers. But there's someone else down there that they probably should keep an eye out for. Don't entirely.
I really like the introduction as well. Issue 3 was probably, I like the way everything builds up. Issue 3 has so much happening in it that is like, it's like a roller coaster almost. You hit that top and it's just like all the way down. It was just a fun ride. Can we talk a little bit about the creative team behind issues 1 through 3? You know, who was you know, artists, colorists, letterers for you guys?
Yeah. So issue 1, we had several people on it, various artists. The first artist was Joyce Moreira. She did the first couple of pages. She did pages 1 through 10, I believe. And then we had Anthony Pugh do pages 11 through, I think, 13, if not, no, 11 through 14. And then various things happened, and we ended up working with a gentleman, Antonio Ortega, and John Luis Rio, who did the colors, and so Antonio Ortega did the pencils and inks for the end of issue 1, and Juan Luis Rio did the colors for that to end it off for us. And that was it's kind of bumpy, but it was a learning curve, but we had fun with it. We definitely had fun with it. Issue 2, Clos Rodriguez, a Brazilian artist, did the colors, pencils, and inks. And we also had Julius Freeman do letters. He worked on letters for us. And then issue 3, our artist we work with now, Mate and Patron, very good artist. We worked with him, and that was a really fun and interesting time to kind of. I feel like it also helped us when we met Mayton. It helped us realize, like, oh, this might be the style we're gonna run with for the time being, like for the foreseeable future. But they're all great artists. We have them tagged in various points in our in our socials and things of that nature. So, but yeah, it was great working with a lot of them.
No, that's awesome. We got some questions over on chat. We have 9 Lord Fox asking any other projects coming up after issue 3.
Yeah, we do have some more exciting projects on the way. I'll let Rashawn talk a little bit more, but Dark Spider #1, we're really excited. This will take place before the start of Lawful Evil. And then for next steps, there will also be a Succubabe issue 1. That's probably a little bit further out, while Dark Spider you'll see in 2023. But Rob, you want to talk a little bit about Dark Spider?
Yeah, Dark Spider issue 1 is going to be more of who he was before all of the running and all of the, him being a fugitive, and him still not necessarily being the most respected, but doing it for the love of the game, for saving people. And also it delves into his past, what training and abilities how he gained them to become Dark Spider, and that past catching up to him in very sudden and very violent ways. I don't want to spoil it too much, but
that's a great issue to look out for.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Have a lot of awesome projects coming out. We have Mama Geekly wanting to know, why did you both start comics? Was it always a dream for you both?
For me, I grew up reading. My first comic was Daredevil Born Again. My cousin gave it to me in third grade.
Good
start. Yeah, probably a bad idea though, because I read this and I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is Matt Murdock's house blows up and everything. And I'm like, wow, like, how is he gonna get out of this? And I was an avid reader as a kid. I loved telling stories. I always loved doing that. But when I read Born Again, I was like, this is a medium that you can tell stories in, that doesn't have to be, confined to just prose or just art. You can tell a different kind of story here, and so that basically after that, I was like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And so I read more comics and read books on writing and, did different things and just eventually built to writing comics. I remember being in high school with my friends, and one of my friends was an illustrator, and I was the first character I wanted to do. I started scripting, not very well, but scripting in general. And he was doing illustrations for the just pinups and things for the character, and I was like, we should do this. And eventually I settled on, there comes a time in your life where you're like, either you're gonna drop this dream or you're gonna pursue it till the wheels fall off. And I was like, how can I drop it? This is a part of me now.
Yeah.
And I just kept going. So.
Well, that's awesome. Ashes, what about you?
Yeah, for me, definitely just reading a lot of comics. Like I mentioned before, watching so many, Saturday morning cartoons of Batman, Superman, and then like finding out, like similarly to what Ross said, that you can like really tell stories. It doesn't like, even though we have a superhero story, it doesn't have to be superheroes. I started to read like, fables, saga, like, well, that was way later, but some of these, large world building comics, not saying anything bad about capes, of course, love my Batman detective comics, but, just being able to use the medium to tell these really cool stories, and then also be able to ground them in human experiences. Our comic has a lot of betrayal, revenge. It's really human feelings. And as a writer, I love exploring that. I love creating characters that look like me and Ra, that act, maybe have some of our tendencies, in there as well. It's just been a really great medium to explore.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you both for those answers as well. This has been one hell of a podcast. Everyone watching, right here is the link to buy issues 1 and issue 2. When is issue 3 dropping? Do you guys have a official release date for it?
Yeah, February 15th, I believe, day after Valentine's Day.
What a good day.
Yeah. Have a nice dinner and then go buy our comic, I guess.
So February 15th, you can find issue 3 on Gumroad.com right there, lawfulevil.gumroad.com. And then how much will it be for the price?
Digital, what do we usually do? $3, right?
Yeah.
$3, yeah.
And not a bad price. Yeah, and 30 pages as well?
Yeah, we've got some of those mini comics in the back.
Mini comics, yeah. It's about more than 30 pages. 34, 35 pages.
34, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll just say, if I remember issue 1 and issue 2 being 30 plus pages. So that's like 90 plus almost 100 plus pages for issue 1 through 3. One big bang for your buck as well. So before we let you guys go, I always love asking for a little bit of advice for anyone that might be new and listening and wanting to create comics of their own. And this time around, let me spin it a little bit differently and take advantage of two co-creators working together. So for anyone that is looking at, collaborating with someone on a project in terms, maybe it's, art or writing or anything in between, what advice would you have for them to help make it like the most like smoothest sailing they could possible?
Great question. Communication, if you're going to work with another person, whether it's a writer, artist, or anything, always open lines of communication. Want to make sure that you're always in step with each other, that you're, moving as a team. It can be hard out there sometimes. And I'll let Rod take it from there.
Yeah. No, I would say it's a relationship like any other. Again, Ashes and I have known each other for a long time, and we've been working with each other for a long time. We've been inside each other's heads for a long time in terms of, so find somebody that I guess has what you lack, or what you can see things that you don't. Because if both of you are, oh yeah, this is this and this is that, it may not serve you because there are things you both might miss. But if one of you is, oh, we need to focus on, like, this is not being taken care of, this is being neglected, or this is what have you, not neglected, but this is, we haven't talked about this in some time, we haven't done this in some time. You always want a big picture and a details person. You always need somebody to, whether it be your editor, your artist, your co-writer, co-creator, whatever the case is, somebody who's going to pull you back and say, we need to focus. So that's always, you need the two pieces to fit together,
So I think that's just as important as well. Thank you for that as well. We have 9 Lord Fox. Any locations you can find physical copies, is that available on the Gumroad as well?
So yeah, we do. It is available, but we also have it. We do also have issues 1 and 2 in Forbidden Planet NYC in New York, in Manhattan. That's on Broadway between 12th and 13th. So we do have it. We do have physical copies there as well, and we'll have physical copies of issue 3 there when it comes out.
Oh, that's so awesome. We have Mama Geekly as well. Wishing you both loads of luck. Be safe and keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words. Thank you both for swinging by. This has been one hell of a podcast. Everyone watching, right here is the link. If you are unable to buy issue 1, 2, or 3 when it drops, simply putting this on Facebook or Twitter is 100% free. Word of mouth goes a long way, and it gets as many eyes on this project as humanly possible. Thank you both for swinging by, breaking down Lawful Evil with us, and everything that went into it. This was such an awesome chat. I hope everyone watching is having a fantastic Saturday afternoon. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.